Hey everyone, Mitch coming in from the Commodore Score Studio. Welcome to the show. So on today's episode, well, spoiler season is not here, but we've got spoilers. It's kind of becoming a thing lately, apparently. Yeah, so over the weekend, we got some very exciting spoilers from Commander Masters, including one that many players out there, including myself, have been waiting for quite a long time because it's on a beloved character that has never gotten a card to its name. Now, it's been in cards and referenced in cards and is a part of the storyline, at least a long time ago. But now, hey, you know what? Commodore Guff finally has a card. That's right, everyone's favorite, and some people's not favorite, fourth wall breaking Planeswalker is here. And unfortunately, the actual card doesn't break the fourth wall. Why not just throw some flavor text in there talking to the player? You know, I think that'd be pretty funny if you're like, oh yeah, I hope you play me on turn 4 or something like that. Something funny like that could have been nice, but that's okay. I'm just happy we finally have Commodore Guff. Here we go. Commodore Guff is a legendary Planeswalker, Guff, really, that has 5 starting loyalty that costs 1 blue, red, white. At the beginning of your end step, put a loyalty counter on another target Planeswalker you control. So, just a nice additional effect to say, hey, you know what? Let's just spread some love. Let's get another counter on another one of our Planeswalkers. That's quite nice. So you can probably see where this deck is going to be going because, well, +1, create a 1/1 red wizard creature token with tap, add red, spend spell, only cast a Planeswalker spell, and -3, you draw X cards, and Commander Guff deals Commander Commodore Guff, there we go, deals X damage to each opponent, where X the number of Planeswalkers you control, and of course, the ever-important text, if you want to use this as your commander, you can. So there you go. Hence why I'm saying, yeah, this is the cards you might want to consider for a commander deck built around Commodore Guff. Because, yeah, it can be your commander. It can also be a good card in the 99, especially in Planeswalker tribal decks. Because, yeah, Super Friends decks are going to love this. And yeah, it's quite the good card for them. And it is a good commander for a Planeswalker tribal deck, a Super Friends deck itself. Again, just with that static ability, getting extra loyalty counters on a Planeswalker can be great, or should I say an extra one each turn. So you can split it up, you can change it each turn, you know, go to get another Planeswalker. The +1 is really good, again, being able to make a blocker if you really need it, but also just a 1/1 that is a mana dork specifically for Planeswalkers. Again, if you've got a Super Friends build, you probably got 30 plus Planeswalkers in your deck, so this can help you cast a lot of your spells, and again, the more and more you get in play, the more and more ramping you are doing with this. On top of that, that -3 can be brutally effective, again, helping you draw a ton of cards. Again, if you've got a lot of Planeswalkers in play, like let's say, you know, 6 Planeswalkers in play, draw 6 cards, deal 6 damage each opponent's faces. That's lovely. Again, of course, there are ways to take even more advantage of that, both on the draw side and also on the damage side too. So yeah, there are plenty of ways to make a lot out of this Planeswalker. There's plenty of other ways to really take advantage of Planeswalkers to make the most of them, make other loyalty counters. There's a lot of cool things that you can do with this one. Now, in this episode, I'm going to be taking you through the budget buys, of course, the cards that are less than $1 that I'd be considering with this commander. Those cards within my budget, and also the price you pick, the cards that are unfortunately outside of my budget, some of which are well outside of my budget, cards that are more than $1, but they might be within your budget, so I'm going to bring those up as well. Regardless, all these cards will be in a card list link in the description below. Now, before we jump into the budget buys, though, one thing really quick. I just want to show off one card that does feature Commodore Guff. Again, Commodore Guff has gotten some screen time in Magic. I guess paper time in Magic. Commodore Guff has been in images of cards or referenced in cards like, you know, Wild Research. That's Commodore Guff. Cool. This is the very first time that we are finally getting Commodore Guff as an actual card itself. And again, players like me have been waiting for such a long time for this. I believe Commodore Guff was like in the Invasion kind of, you know, storyline regardless. If you're interested in that, make sure you check out like the Wikipedia, and then you can find things from there, I'm sure. There we go. Anyways, regardless, let's jump into those budget buys. This is not a lore channel. This is a commander channel where we talk about commander decks and such. So let's talk about the first budget buy I want to bring up with Chandra, Acolyte of Flame. Chandra is a legendary Planeswalker Chandra that starts off at 4 starting loyalty, 1 red, and it's fantastic for Planeswalker tribal decks because that 0 is putting a loyalty counter on each red Planeswalker you control. This is a great way to, again, get more counters on your commander, get more counters on this, get more counters on your other red planeswalkers. 0, you can make some elementals. -2, you can cast an instant sorcery, convert mana cost from your graveyard. Most of the time, you're probably going to keep zeroing this again and again and again. And there's ways to take even more advantage about getting even more counters on planeswalkers. And of course, this plus Guff, plus other ways are also just ways to get to your your other planeswalkers, maybe ultimates even quicker, so you can really take over the game. Another low to the ground planeswalker, though, that I really want to bring up is Jace Mirror Mage. A 4 loyalty planeswalker that costs 1 blue, so very low to the ground, but you can also kick it for 2 more mana, and that's probably going to be worth it for a commander deck like this. Enters the battlefield. If it was kicked, you get a token copy of it, except it's not legendary, so loyalty is 1. So you basically are able to go wider in a planeswalker tribal deck with something like this. Get, 2 for the price of 1, essentially. And again, the more planeswalkers you get in play, the better Guff's -3 is. Drawing more cards, dishing out more damage. So there you go. And also, yeah, +1 scry 2. That's nice. Also, draw a card, reveal it, move a number of loyalty counters from it equal to mana cost. Cool. So yeah, again, a way to essentially, have a low to the ground planeswalker, then get out there, give you some card advantage, potentially some card selection, and yeah, just, be a little wider with your planeswalkers. Next up, Saheeli Sublime Artificer, a great planeswalker as well. One that isn't uncommon, but doesn't really, fit, typical uncommon, because this gives you a ton of value throughout the game. Whenever you cast a non-creature spell, you get a 1/1 servo. That is fantastic. That is absolutely great. Being able to just say, hey, every single time you cast, a planeswalker or an instant, a sorcery, enchantment, artifact, whatever you're casting, hey, get some more blockers out there, get an army out there. Again, adding to your creature tokens, there's ways to really take advantage of those, including the ones that your commander makes too, and we'll talk about some of those ways here in a bit. On top of that, you can make an artifact into a copy of an artifact or creature, so yeah, these little servos can become something even bigger than that. Next up, how about Rouse Zarek, another great budget planeswalker. +1 tap target permanent, untap and untarget permanent. So that's just a nice way to, potentially control some things a little bit. Untap maybe land, maybe even like a bounce land, or maybe like, an artifact that taps for a good amount, a mana rock. -2, 3 damage to any target. Nice lightning bolt right there. Most importantly, though, -7, flip 5 coins, second extra after this one. For each coin that comes up heads. So, hey, again, like I mentioned, we've got, Chandra, we've got, our commander. We've got other ways to get more loyalty counters on planeswalkers very quickly. So again, we don't have to keep, ticking this up one at a time. We can get to that -7 in no time, potentially even on the first turn that we have this out, if we're set up properly. And then, maybe get a good amount of extra turns out of this one quite quickly, and things get pretty absurd from there. So yeah, being able to get 2 ultimates for your planeswalkers quite quickly is great with a commander like this. Again, going planeswalker tribal, there's a lot of really cool things that you can do. So yeah, these are some great planeswalkers to consider that are very budget friendly. Speaking of budget friendly cards, though, next up we got Serum Snare. Yeah, in our brand new, Phyrexian, sets essentially, yeah, or at least Phyrexia will be one. There's a lot of proliferate cards that are fantastic, that are making a big impact on the format, and yeah, in planeswalker tribal decks, they can make a giant impact as well. Serum Snare, instant for 1 in a blue, return target non-land permanent to owner's hand. If that permanent had made a value 3 or less, proliferate. So this is a flexible card. You can, bounce one of your permanents, bounce one of your opponent's permanents. If it is a small permanent, again, made a value 3 or less, hey, you get to proliferate. You get to get additional counters on things that you want additional counters on, including loyalty counters for your planeswalkers. So again, get those, ticked up essentially, get to those ultimates even quicker. Fantastic card. Next up, Thrumming Bird, an oldie but a goodie. A great proliferate effect that is repeatable, that was reprinted and is now very, very budget friendly at just 9 cents. 1/1 flying. Phyrexian Bird Horror that says when it deals combination to a player, proliferate. So again, a repeatable proliferate effect like this one can be incredible. It is evasive and get through at least one player, usually most of the time. So yeah, just keep getting proliferating, keep getting more counters on your planeswalkers, keep getting to those ultimates and really taking over the game. Speaking of taking over the game again, those little wizards that you're making with your commander can be nice, but you can also make them even deadlier, though. Just little 1/1s to start, but hey, Dictative Heliod, you flash that in. Creature control +2/+2, that is a massive pump effect for them, making them into 3/3s. Again, there's other planeswalkers out there like Saheeli that I already talked about that make creature tokens as well. So yeah, having anthems in this deck can really help as well to turn your little tiny creatures, your little tiny mana dorks, and other creatures as well into a really heavy-hitting army. Speaking of heavy hitting, though, we can make Commodore Guff's -3 even deadlier with Psychosis Crawler. Power down a secret number of cards in your hand. That's nice. This can actually become quite large and hit our opponents quite well. But hey, the important part here is whenever you draw a card, each opponent loses 1 life. So drain your opponents very quickly. Again, hey, with Commodore Guff, minus or -3, draw X cards, and based on the planeswalkers you have, deal X damage based on that too. So again, if you have 6, cool. Hit your opponents in the face each for 6, and on top of that, drain your opponents for 6. So basically, again, doubling it up. 6 plus 6, that's 12, right? 12 for each opponent. That is a lot. That is a big chunk. And again, of course, there's even more ways to get even more planeswalkers out and take even more advantage of this as well. Speaking of taking advantage of drawing cards, yeah, let's double that up too. Thought Reflection. If you draw a card, draw 2 cards instead. This doubles up every single one of your card draws. And yeah, with your commander, again, that -3 becomes doubly as effective when it comes to digging down into your deck, getting more and more cards in your hand. And yeah, again, with those wizards that you have out there, you can tap, for mana to get even more planeswalkers in play to set yourself up for an even bigger play next turn. So yeah, Thought Reflection, a great card in this deck as well. Now that we talked about the budget buys, though, let's move on to the pricier picks. And we're going to start things off with an absolutely gross one that is an incredibly expensive card, Annoying Procession. Yeah, doubling effects are really good, especially ones that deal tokens. This one deals with all tokens. If an effect creates one or more tokens under your control deal, it creates twice that many of those tokens instead. So again, your commander, making those wizards, now you're making 2 instead of just 1. You're making 2 of those wizards instead of 1, basically ramping twice instead of just ramping once. Again, if you've got other ways, to pump them as well, just making your army even deadlier, going wider essentially. And of course, there are more planeswalkers, like I mentioned earlier, like Saheeli, etc., that can make tokens too. So yeah, definitely a card to consider for a commander like this. Next up, when it comes to doubling, you can also double up damage too. Sulfur Mayhem Dominus. If a source you control deal damage, non-combat damage, to an opponent or permanent opponent controls, it deals double that damage to that permanent or player instead. Let's now, instead of dealing again, if we're going to that 6 damage route, we're going to deal 12 damage. So again, just another way to dish out even more damage, stack even more damage on top of all these other things. There's other planeswalkers out there that dish out damage too, like we talked about Ral earlier with that lightning bolt. Doubling up your non-combat sources can be fantastic, and this can actually be really hard to deal with too. Pay 1, red, discard 2 cards, put an indestructible counter on it. Obviously, you've got plenty of ways to draw cards, including with your commander. Get that indestructible counter on this, make it really hard to deal with. Yeah, continue doubling up your damage. Moving on to Very Sage's Insight. Basically Thought Reflection, but better in many scenarios because it is cheaper. And I mean, not cost-wise, it's $5. But mana value-wise, it's 4 versus 7. This one doesn't double up your just draw for the turn, but doubles up every other one of your draws. So again, it will double up your Commodore Guff -3 draw, which can be just absolutely fantastic. And since we talked about a damage doubler, how about a damage tripler? Yeah, City on Fire is incredible with this commander. This is a brand new card that is just absolutely great. Enchantment Convoke for 5 red. Hey, here's the thing. Those little wizards that you have, again, can tap for mana, but you can only use that mana for your planeswalkers. That being said, you can also use any creatures you have for convoking this. So have fun getting this into play for incredibly cheap, and yeah, have fun with that. If a source you control deal damage to a permanent player deals triple that damage instead. Gross. So first of all, your commander's -3 now is triply as effective when it comes to damage. Give that same example of -3, X equals 6. That's 18 damage to each one of your opponents. Absurd. So much damage. It's what, like 54 damage in total, if my math's correct? That's a lot. Yeah, you can take your opponents out in absolutely no time. Speaking of which, again, your little wizards, your tiny little wizards, like I mentioned earlier, just 1/1s. But again, hey, you got some Anthem effects in play. Dictative Heliod, maybe. +2/+2, they're 3/3s. Now, if you got this in play, that's 3 times as much damage. That's 9 damage. I mean, without the Dictative Heliod, still 3 damage for each one. Regardless, damage tripling is, of course, very effective with a deck like this. Moving on, when it comes to making our planeswalkers even more effective, Ikemoon Gauntlet is gross. Absolutely gross. Planeswalkers you control have 0 proliferate. If it just would have stopped there, this still would have seen a good amount of play. And -12 taking extra for this one. Okay, so yeah, basically, again, the goal of this deck, one of its many goals, is to go wide with planeswalkers. The wider you go, the more value you're getting out of your planeswalkers, essentially, right? The more value you get out of Guff. And hey, 0 proliferate means that you're going to be able to proliferate incredibly quickly on all your planeswalkers to the point where, hey, you're going to be able to get to that -12 in no time for your planeswalkers and be able to take an extra turn. And then another one, and another one, and another one. At a certain point, this is just very easily infinite extra turns. And even without that, even without getting to that point, just proliferating on your planeswalkers is incredibly good. On top of that, whenever you cast down a creature spell, choose a counter on target permanent, additional counter on it. It didn't really need that text on it. That's just a nice additional text to have, so there you go. When it comes to proliferating too, hey, Yeah, another one of the Dominuses is great in this deck too. Tech with Fall, Inquiry Dominus. 3/5 flyer. If you proliferate twice instead. Tripling up the value proliferate spells essentially is insane. Absolutely insane. I mean, doubling up. You know what I mean. I don't know why I say tripling. Making them twice as effective is absolutely absurd. Doing that just and saying, you know what? Oh, let's get a counter. Get a counter again. Get a counter again. You can get to an absurd amount of loyalty counters on your Planeswalkers in absolutely no time, getting to your ultimates and winning the game quite easily. Paying 1 blue, you can remove 3 counters from among artifacts, creatures, planeswalkers you control, get an indestructible counter on this. Yeah, that's another great way to just say, you know what, let's make this harder to deal with. It's very easy to, you know, meet that requirement, so have fun with that. Speaking of fun for you at least, Oath of Teferi, when it enters the battlefield, exile a target permanent you control to the battlefield, so it's controlled by the next end step. A good way to reset a planeswalker if you need to. And then also you may activate the loyalty abilities of planeswalkers you control twice each turn rather than once. Gross. So yeah, at the very least, make twice as many wizards that can tap for mana, or, you know, do one wizard. Do, you know, the other one as well. Do the -3. Maybe do -3 twice if you get enough counters on it. You know, basically, a lot of really good ways to interact with your commander. Of course, every other planeswalker too. It's just a great way to tick them up incredibly quickly. Get to those ultimates quickly. Make the most of all their abilities. Yeah, this is great. So is the Chain Veil too. Great ways to utilize your planeswalkers to the fullest. And speaking of planeswalkers, when we get to the pricier picks, we also have, well, Teferi. A lot of Teferis. This one's a very good one, this deck too. Teferi Hero Dominaria, +1 draw a card at the beginning of the next end step on tap 2 lands. Just nice value there. -3 put target non-land permanent into its owner's library, third from the top. Basically a way to temporarily or even permanently get rid of something. Not permanently, I guess. You could, if you shuffle your opponent's library, you know, like a Chaos Warp, that kind of thing, it can force them to essentially, yeah, not get that card probably ever again during the game. -8, you get an emblem with whenever you draw a card, exile target permanent opponent controls. That is game ending. That is a game ending emblem that you can very easily get to again with a deck like this. Again, with, you know, your commanders, you know, ability to get an extra one on this, with your other planeswalkers' abilities to do that, with other proliferate effects, etc., etc., etc. You get to this, your opponents are in incredibly big trouble. And again, in combination with your commanders, -3, draw up a certain amount of cards, dish out damage, and exile a bunch of things your opponents have. So good luck to them. And especially good luck if you get Elspeth Sun's Champion out. Again, another great pricier pick. +1, make 3 soldiers. Just nice again, especially again if you've got those other Anthem effects. Speaking of that, we'll get to one here in a bit. -3, destroy creatures power 4 or greater. Yeah, board wipes, especially ones on planeswalkers, can be great for a Super Friends tribal deck. And then -7, you get an emblem with creatures you control, +2/+2 and have flying. So again, now your little wizards also have flying and +2/+2. And so all your other tokens, including the ones that this makes, ones that Healy's makes, you know, all the other ones that you're going to be making. Yeah, definitely a lot of ways that you can win with a deck like this and a commander like this. Regardless, really excited to see Commodore Guff finally get his time in the light, finally get a card to his name. I mean, again, Commodore Guff has been in cards, in the arts of cards, in reference in cards, but finally getting his own card, it's really cool. So yeah, definitely a good card for a Planeswalker tribal deck in the 99 of those decks, and also with his own deck. Yeah, definitely a really exciting one. I think a lot of players out there are going to be excited about it. Comment below with your thoughts on it. Make sure you check out that card list link in the description below. Check out my other spoilers and quick takes I've been talking about, like, you know, Zulodok Void Gorger. I want to make sure I get the name right. Zulodok? I think that's right. I don't know. Let me in the comments below. Make sure you check that one out, though. It's a really cool, brand new commander. Eldrazi Cascade. Definitely going to be a new thing. Yeah, let me know in the comments below. And of course, as always, thanks again and have a good one. This show and episodes like this one are possible thanks to viewers like you. If you're looking for an easy way to help support this show, make sure that you like, share, and subscribe. Also, hit that bell notification icon so you don't miss any new episodes. You can also go check out our playmats and other merchandise at thecommandersquarters.com. We also have a ton of brand new t-shirt designs in stock, so make sure you check out those as well. Another easy way to support this show is with our TCG Player affiliate links. So whether you're buying a deck or individual cards, you can use this general link right here or one in the description. And the final way that you can support this show is by supporting us directly by becoming a patron. There are many benefits to being a patron, and I truly couldn't do this without all of their support.